Hey,
Hey, Jason, and welcome everyone back to this second interview I'm doing with Jason. It's had so many people want more questions, more information from Jason about what he does with sacred geometry, how it works, a bit more in depth. So we're back. Thank you
yeah, no problem.
for being back and ready to answer some more questions.
Yeah,
So
happy to be here.
thank you. Well, it's fantastic. I'm still fascinated. I've got lots of questions.
Great. All right. I love just getting questions asked of me. You know, the information just comes. So I'm one of those people who just loves getting questions. So
Fantastic.
um,
Well, in case there's anyone who missed the first one, just want to introduce, this is Jason Irving, who is a master in sacred geometry, in how it works for healing, how it works with our consciousness. You've been in practice for many, many years. You've done and worked with lots of people with lots of amazing results. And I know that what you're doing now is ready to take your work outside.
yeah,
Yeah. You're ready to go big, you're doing some more public stuff instead of it just being private workshops. So people have got a chance to have more access, which is brilliant.
yeah, I've been doing a good job hiding.
You tried to go off screen then, I saw that.
Yeah, it was my dog. I've got my dog here today, so he's knocking on the door saying, "Let me in."
He wants to come in and be part of it. Oh,
Yeah.
cute.
So he's just sitting on the chair behind me.
So this is actually really good because a few people from the last interview wanted to know more about the sacred geometry symbols. And last time, this time you're actually in your clinic space, in your studio space.
Yeah.
And we can see some of the paintings, some of the sacred geometry paintings that you've got behind you there. So this is actually ideal because what I wanted to ask you to do, is, if that's all right, is to actually help us understand a bit more about what happens when you look at a sacred geometry. How does it come through to you? Like, how do you actually get the symbols to start with? Do they just come to you? Do you see well-known ones and then look further into them?
So what I've done is, I learned sacred geometry in 2003, and the symbol that I actually used is up here. So that's the symbol that I first used, which is the tetrahedron.
The one up on the right there,
Right up over there.
Yep, in the corner.
That's the first one I ever got introduced to, and it was a technique that I learnt called Saviour's Fire. So I started using the tetrahedron to help people change, and then once I started doing that, people were having extreme changes on my table, like miraculous healings were occurring, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing this shape, and then what I would find is that as the shape was teaching me how to use it, so once the symbol comes in, it actually teaches you its mechanism and how it works. So the symbol actually taught me technique, and I had these really they were pretty basic techniques that I was shown when I was doing the Saviour's Fire technique, and I just went, okay, these are putting your hand positions in a symbol like that to make it work. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense. So I was taught, the symbol taught me how to work with it. So what we do with symbology, the moment we look at a sacred geometry shape, it does something to our brains. Because what we've been taught is a left brain approach to run mechanism of thought. This takes you away from thought and gets you connected to your intuition. And then what happens is the symbols actually start working with your consciousness. Because before we had words, before we had any sort of communication verbally, we never communicated. We always communicated telepathically, and it wasn't through a language, it was through our eyes. So what the symbols do, the sacred geometry symbols do, is they get you back to your ancient wisdom of non-communication and knowing and awareness, and it allows that communication to become a sense of that your extraordinary abilities start to come forward with the sacred geometry symbols. So the one behind me is something for you guys. So I placed this when you wanted to do an interview with me. I put this specific one behind me because this is connected to, it's called the Vesica Viscus. So I'll just get up and I'll show you.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Okay, so we've got two circles here. Okay, so this is the Vesica Viscus, this in here. And then we've got this eye, Okay, and then we've got a little ball of light in here and all the mechanisms. Okay, so what happens with this symbol for me when I look at it, this circle turns, and all the energy pushes into the eye, right? And I've run this class on this shape many times, and I run different levels of what it does for you. So what happens in sacred geometry is that depending on the level of consciousness that you're in, it will supply exactly what you need to grow, right? And it will take you to a point of difference, and it will smash away the barriers that hold you and bind you in a certain place the more that you look at them. And this is what we used to do. We were always, so what you do, Jenny, is fascinating for me, because you create a mandala, right? And that is what used to be done. So you're actually doing the ancient tradition without knowing. So, and then you finish it and look at it, and then it starts to run mechanics over you. And because you're supplying it with the pen or a painting, you're actually doing it the way the ancients would do it. So what we would do is we'd draw the Vesica Piscis ourselves, and then we would meditate with it and spend time helping it change us. And then as it would change us, our development would lift, and it would bring and work out our stuff. So this is the element of joy.
Wow, okay.
So what this brings is pure joy. The only way to get there through this particular symbol is accessing your sadness.
Right.
Right.
So do we need to know that before we start, or do we just sort of get attracted to something and then
we get attracted to it?
We trust that.
Yeah, we trust it, and then it does something to us. It gets us emotional. This symbol, what it does, and then it starts to make us happy. So it does something to us, and this is connected to the female anatomy. This is connected to the vagina. So this is a really powerful symbol for women. So
Right.
the great C of the woman. You know, and there's so much power in this symbol, and this is where the male energy interlocks into this connected symbol and joins. So this is how form is created from the formless in its highest perspective. It's amazing. And then it can be used to connect you with pure creativity. It helps you run the polarities. So it's a polarity balancer. So what we do when we're looking for, you know, you're doing your joy program, right? So what would happen, and what I've taught with this, is that, so we have joy sitting over here or over here, sitting in the Vesica Piscis, and then the other side, sadness. And then what it does is it blends into the center and becomes whole.
Right.
So we have to have both poles.
Right.
Once we have both poles, we unify them. In the center is what is called non-dualism. You're not affected by life when you're in the center. And there's a nice push and pull here. The moment we get over here, we're unbalanced. So if we're looking for joy in our life, we're going to have sadness guaranteed, because that's a polarity. So when we work with them both, we become whole. And we're sitting in the center, we're non-affected, and we're really, really in a sense of reverence and peace to ourselves. And that's what this shape does. So that's the information. You don't have to know that. It will teach you that. And then you can look at information. So the thing that sort of annoys me about the internet is the information that's on there is not often clear. So it can take people, so I read stuff and get information from older books, and then I have to read between the lines and see what is real with the information that's being shared, because a lot of it's distorted. So I have to go and tune in, and then tune in and retune in again. And as the symbol teaches me, it removes the belief systems away that are not relevant to where my development is now. And so that's what Sacred Geometry 101 does. It gives you that sense of breaking your patterns and evolving you and getting you evolved even further and further. So what you may believe in now starts to release itself, and you become more connected to what is greater inside of you.
Okay, and what would you say what's one of the things that you think is a myth, or that you think is, when you read it you think, that's not a truth? Like, is there something that really stands out to you as you know,
Um,
is a misperception or a misunderstanding
sacred geometry or in life?
in sacred geometry?
I think the misconception that people have is that they think the symbol, once you work with it, you're going to be enlightened. You know, I think what people do is they say, oh, here's this symbol, this is what it does, and they have theory around it, and
Yep.
people don't know what enlightenment is. It's actually true enlightenment is actually just being yourself. It's got nothing to do with seeing the light. That's actually bells and whistles. So that's where it can make a real mess of us, as we have this experience and we get lost in the experience, as opposed to, okay, we've had this amazing, extraordinary experience. What are we going to do with that in daily life? Because it's a waste of our time.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. So what's your answer? Like, how do you answer that?
So my answer to that is, that's great, you've had the experience. Now, what are you going to make of it? What are you going to do with that experience, and how are you going to extrapolate that in daily life? Because what we can do is we can go, let's say we go away on a retreat. We have this amazing sacred geometry experience, or we have like my event that I'm hosting. Right? We have this amazing change, and it only lasts for a little while because we haven't taken the steps to make it happen. So we have to do the doing part to actually activate the symbol to make it work for us. Otherwise, it just becomes an experience that we chase, and that's what spirituality does. Is it makes us chase the experience as opposed to do what we need to do to continue that experience in daily life. And that's what all sacred geometry is about: is daily life, not the actual experience itself, because that can get you stuck.
So that's what makes you quite different in a way, isn't it? Is that you're sort of bringing the spiritual to ground.
Yes, I am. I want to make
it and making it livable, practical.
Yeah. That's my greatest passion, Jenny, is that because people have these experiences and then they don't know what to do with those experiences in daily life, and then they start running separation because these amazing experiences are not in the mundane world.
Yeah, right.
When we're hanging up the clothes, they're not when we're in the shower, they're when we're having a meditation, or we're doing something with our friends that make us feel connected if we do a group meditation. And those group meditations are fantastic, don't get me wrong, they're important. It's what we do with them after that's more important. That's
brilliant. I love that, because I call myself practical woo-woo.
Yeah.
You know, same thing, it has to be livable. We have to live in this realm, even though we can have experiences or insights that are amazing. We're still living here in this physical, heavy realm. Where we've got to live our lives in, day to day. So, do you? When do we get a chance to understand how you would help us implement? Is that like? Do you teach that in a program later, or?
Yeah, so what I do is I give you an experience, so you know what it feels like to feel the state of what a symbol does. And now, if you want to get some depth with it, then I'll run a weekend class. That weekend class will give you some depth, and then if you really want to work with it, I'll give you the real nuts and bolts, and we'll go really deep with it. And that's not necessarily for the faint-hearted, because you have to really work on your stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a really good tiered way of approaching, which is going to get people more, connected to what they're here for. It comes down to, we get this state experience, then we have the weekend to have that, what it can do. So I'll give you a whole lot of mechanics. And then if you want to go really deep with me, I can, I've taken people through, years of information. It feels like it never ends.
Yeah. Well, that's about involvement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reaching into involvement at all levels.
Yeah, and I think the advice that I would give any of you people who are watching this is that, spirituality never ends, your growth never ends. And I'll give you a really important tip. If you think you've figured it out and you're done with your growth, you've actually just stopped learning.
Yeah, okay. Totally agree.
And so that's what you've got to be really mindful of and that's called head up the arse syndrome in my right? You actually think you figured it out. Your ego's just come in and said, I know all of this stuff. So when the thing that I have is, we all bandy up this, I'm this sacred geometry expert. That's not true. I'm a sacred geometry learner. Because
Yeah.
if I can stay in the learning process and not be the expert, people put that on me.
Yeah.
I don't take that on. I take myself as a sacred geometry L plater.
Yeah.
It keeps me growing.
Yep.
It keeps me on my toes growing. Because if the moment I run expert, the moment I run master, I have stopped growing. So those two words are scary. You know, we have Reiki master. Quite often the Reiki masters don't put a lot of work into themselves. They're the Reiki master. And I tell people in my classes when I used to run it that this is when you start to grow, not when you finish. And that's what mastery and expert does to our soul. It keeps us feeling like that we're here as an identity expert. And I know a lot, right? Really, that doesn't matter if I'm not implementing what I know.
Yeah. Well, we can see you as a master. That's our perception.
Yeah.
Whether you take it on.
I don't take it on. I don't look at it that way, because what I do in all my classes, quite often at the beginning of my classes, I say to everyone, you are going to teach me more than I'm going to teach you here. And I have a real humility and a real care for everyone.
You do, and I love that about you.
Because I want everyone to know that I'm growing so much right now, and I want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And it just gives that reverence for people to know that we're all on a path of journeying and learning. And yes, I have a lot of inspiration, and yes, I have a lot of stuff to share. One thing I do know though is the moment someone puts me on a pedestal, they want to kick me off pretty quick. I want them, to call me, I always like it this way, for people to step to the side with me. Imagine yourself to the side with me and journeying with me on this, and don't look at me as the expert teacher. Look at me as a person who's exploring with you to grow. And that really helps with the ego, because the moment we get put up on a pedestal, Jenny, the moment a crack appears, someone else's ego goes, I see that crack, let's widen it and let's kick it.
Yeah.
And I've found that over years.
Yeah. I think of it as a let's go together journey.
Yeah. And that's
come
really
with me at the same, let's go together, rather than, I'm up here and you're down there.
Yeah, because that creates a separation from the teacher to the student. And that's when you say you're a teacher, then you've got students, and then you're sitting a level above. So my job is to just journey and share as much information as I can, and hopefully it lands for people and makes sense, and people grow with it.
Fantastic. Now that's great. Thanks for those insights. That was great. Really gave me some more insight and more understanding, a bit more of the depth.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, nuts and bolts. So you've got coming up on Thursday the 19th.
Yeah.
You've got Control to Freedom.
Yeah.
Event.
And look, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. Do you want to see the symbol that I'm going to be doing?
Yeah. Which one are you going to be using?
Well, let me just straighten it up, because I just took it off the wall a little while ago. Make sure it looks pretty. So this is the symbol that you guys are going to get to spend time with. It's the one in the middle.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and
that brings up something in me when I look at that.
This symbol creates abundance. It creates a sense of wealth within our soul. It activates so many things inside of us. I could spend days talking about what it does. It's so intricate, this painting. So I'm really looking forward to sharing the information, because it's a life changer. It's changed my life, and it's really important. Like how I'm going to share it is also really important, because it's it's a little bit of a controversial symbol, and it's painted very differently. So the way I'm going to explain it is going to bring back the energy of this to the Western world, because the Eastern philosophies own this symbol and love it.
Yeah.
Scared of it, because of one stupid man.
Yes, I saw that symbol there in the center. But, as soon as I saw that, the first word that occurred to me was richness.
Yeah.
That was the first word that came to me, was richness.
What it did when I opened that up and saw it for the first time, I saw its mechanics. I saw what it did. And I was just like, oh my God, it pulls you back in your seat. Is the best way I can explain what it does, and really invites and creates a massive invitation for your bigger you to come forward.
And is that going to be about, like, if we've been struggling with abundance in terms of money, or have issues and blocks around, like,
whatever you're feeling bound by, whatever you're feeling controlled by in life, it's going to help unleash and help you loosen that grip on the feeling of what's binding you. So it could be relationships, it could be money, it could be anything at all. And that's what sacred geometry does. It's not just, okay, this is the money-making symbol. It's about having, what is success to you? The East looks at success is spiritual development and connection to the soul. So that's pure success, and that's actually what that symbol is driven by. Driven by pure connection to your spirit. That's what its alignment is. So when
excited.
It brings the flavour of money and support, especially for us in the Western world. It allows that to come forward for us if that's what we're wanting.
That's going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that, and also how to maybe go further after that and bring it into the practical.
Yeah.
But I want we love to have experiences. Because that's what gets us excited to start with, right?
Yeah, that's the beginning point. We have an experience, we go, oh my God, I've had people, I remember when we were in Byron Bay, Jen, and, I was talking to Kimberly, and then you saw me work, and you started to cry because you could see the love and care that I had for her.
I know. Well, I was just looking at you. I was just sitting to the side. I wasn't even listening. I was just looking at you, and all of a sudden, tears are running down my face. I'm going, what's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening? Something's happening, but I'm not even involved. I'm just.
It's why you're doing this program. It's the joy.
Yeah, mate, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's what people get when I've had that a lot of the time. I just sort of stand around and people change and I don't know why. It's just
part of frequency.
Yeah, maybe, just what happens, and I've had that all my life. People just go, I've been in the course. I'm like, I get to hide. No one knows me. Sit down, and then someone says, can I just sit next to you? And they come and sit next to me.
I can completely understand that.
Yeah.
Because there's a great love. You have a huge energy of love in your field.
Yeah, thank you.
You do. And it's completely unspoken, and it's that, you can feel something. You don't feel much. Especially from someone you don't know as well. Like, people don't know you go into a room and they start to feel something. Yeah.
And then everyone sort of, when I don't know anyone, people just want to come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
Ask me questions, and it's like a walking zombie walking up and saying, hey, how are you? And they just look.
You must get a bit overwhelmed at times with that, do you?
No, I'm sort of used to it now. I used to find it really overwhelming because I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
Because I had that really low self-esteem, so I was just wondering, why the hell would anyone want any information from me? I'm just little Jason from Canberra.
Yeah.
And I've had that all my life. People have just wanted to find out something that I had to share from them, and even I've had people just come and meet me at a seminar, and they said, you changed my life after talking to me for 30 seconds. And sent me a Facebook message and said,
amazing.
You've done this for me. I'm just like, but I don't even remember what we said. I have no idea.
I know. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. So with the Control to Freedom, people can. It's an online event.
Yes.
So people can book in and watch online, and you'll probably just send out the link and they can join in when it's on.
Yeah.
No matter where they live, or if they're in Canberra, they can come and sit with you live in the audience, right?
Yeah, they can spend time in the audience. So
they can come in the audience.
This is great. It's just giving people an opportunity to experience.
Yeah.
What I do globally. So that's a change.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then with the follow-up ones, are they in person or are they online? Like, is the weekend
I'm setting up a few things. So some of the follow-up one on the weekend is an event that I'm going to be doing physically. I will be recording it. So what I'll be doing is I'll be slicing it up and getting it ready to share for people, because I'm going to be running a really important symbol in that particular class that is going to help unleash and break you through patterns. So that one's called the breakthrough. So I'm going to be using another symbol that's been very, very painful in our karma, and unleash its power on people on that weekend. So it's going to be mind blowing. And
I might have to come down.
Yeah. Well, I'm creating a blueprint as well, so we can look at our work, so we can see our work and know this is the work that we've got to do, and not to pretend it doesn't exist. Because it always comes about when we're doing something new, so we can have a look at it and go, okay, this is our work, this is what we've got to do, and this is how we can break through it. And then I'll give you the steps and the techniques. So and those you can take away and work with them. And if you want to go deeper, there's lots of things that I'm doing. I'm just changing everything up at the moment. Spotlight's going to disappear. I'm going to have Jason Irving Academy that's going to be launched on Thursday night. So I've got so many things that I'm doing.
So the transformation is coming through you too, like the whole through your own
massive
transformation. Awesome.
It just gives lots and lots of, I just want to share now. I'm repeating too many things. So.
No, I'm really glad you're getting out there, because I think a lot of people in Canberra know you. I know your events have been really huge.
Yeah.
And you're ready to sort of do more, which I think is kind of scary, but so I'm really like,
look, my biggest fear is exposure.
It's time.
So it terrifies me what I'm venturing towards. So I know it's right.
Yep.
It scares me, So anything that frightens me, I know I'm on the right path, because he's the candle that lights you to freedom.
I love that. That's really good.
So that's what really gets me knowing that I'm on the right path. When it's ignited inside.
Well, it's good. It's good when I can relate to that, because I think we're all like, when you get scared of something, tendencies to pull back from it rather than know you're on the right track. And that's what I love about you. You're always able to reframe, something, and be able to see it a different way. So fear is, you're on the right track.
Yeah, it's very different.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's so different to what we perceive it to be, because everyone's trying to fix it, and I'm trying to be one with it.
Yeah.
That's what sacred geometry does, by the way. It gets you one with all the heavy emotions that we call wrong. It unhooks them and shows you the glory in every single emotion that we call a shadow or bad.
Well, that's amazing.
So that's the gift of it. That's what it brings you. That's what it's brought me anyway.
Yeah, beautiful.
Doesn't mean
I look forward to the evening. Yeah, I know you've got so much. There's so much more. Well, if someone they want to, they can go to spiraloflight.com.au to get a ticket.
Yeah.
For that, and I'll see you as well in my Art of Joy program. We've got a VIP immersion as part of the bonus. You're the bonus. I'm there too, but you're there to actually do a private session for us. So
I'm excited.
Thank you so much for that. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, thanks for the interview again. And
thanks for sharing more. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully you got a few answers, and the people who had some questions have a few more answers. There's usually more questions that come out of sacred geometry than answers.
I can completely understand that.
And that's what it's done for me. It piles in the question. It wires the question to expand. So,
right. Well, maybe people will get a chance to ask you more.
Yeah.
When they do some of your other programs and get more detail and get more of you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen.
All right. Thanks, Jason. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks for this interview.
Absolute pleasure. See ya.